Hello, my name is Rachel. I am part of the Switch Together team. We are happy to offer this Solar 101 webinar where you can learn all about solar installations, battery storage, and the finances of going solar. In this webinar, you will be hearing from our partner, Solar United Neighbors. Solar United Neighbors is a vendor-neutral nonprofit organization that works throughout the U.S. to help people go solar and fight for their energy rights. They are incredibly knowledgeable on solar, and we are happy to be working with them to offer Switch Together. They will walk you through the basics of solar technology and the economics of purchasing a system. In the second half of their presentation, you will also be presented with information that is specific to where you live. Participants in our program will also have access to installer webinars. Those sessions will walk through our program's personal recommendations, including installer presentations. In addition to our webinars, you can access more information about solar panels and our program on our website's blog or our FAQ section. I'll now give the floor to our partners at Solar United Neighbors.
Hi, my name is Corey Ramsden. I'm the VP for Go Solar Programs here at Solar United Neighbors, or SUN, and I'm here to cover some basics on solar technology and economics. This information will better prepare you to make a decision on how to go solar. At SUN, we're a vendor-neutral 501c3 nonprofit that helps people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. We're a national organization with staff all over the country. In 11 states, DC and Puerto Rico, we also offer bulk purchasing programs like this. Since we got our start in 2007, we've helped thousands of people go solar. Our story began with something called the Mount Pleasant Solar Co-op in Washington, DC back in 2007. Walter, pictured on the left, is the son of our executive director, Anya Schoolman. He and his friend Diego wanted to go solar. Anya looked into it and quickly found out that going solar wasn't so easy at the time. Walter and Diego went door to door around the neighborhood and signed up 50 neighbors interested in working together to untangle the complicated process. After lots of meetings and research and coordination, 45 neighbors in that first group went solar. After that, Anya started getting calls from people all over the country wanting to organize similar groups. Today, we focus on helping people go solar, joining together, and fighting for their energy rights. Sometimes that means an educational webinar like this, or it could be a solar happy hour to celebrate a new batch of solar homeowners. And sometimes it means defending solar energy bill crediting policies, or working to pass a state law to prevent homeowners associations from stopping solar, or working with a city to make solar permitting easier for everyone. Before we get into the presentation, I want to take a moment to address the inequities in our current energy system. Low-income and communities of color have the highest energy burdens. On average, low-income households spend 7.2% of their income on utilities, while higher incomes spend only 2.3%. Communities of color, particularly the Black community, bear an unfair share of the cost of energy production, but receive fewer benefits. Families of color are more often harmed by higher utility bills and shutoffs. On top of that, housing discrimination is a barrier to homeownership and thus solar ownership. Rooftop solar lets communities invest locally. It creates good local jobs, and it brings control of the energy system within our reach. We're working hard here toward a new energy system that everyone can participate in, one that is fair and equitable and has rooftop solar as the cornerstone. So let's get to the main part of the presentation. In this webinar, we'll be covering not only the technology topics you need to be a good consumer, but also the economics and incentives of solar that make it such a great way to invest in your home and lower your electricity costs for the long term. Today, we're talking about solar photovoltaic or solar PV technology. PV technology converts light energy into usable electricity. The majority of today's solar market is PV technology. Solar thermal is another residential solar technology. That would be for heating a pool or directly heating your home's hot water, but it is a small percentage of today's solar market. So we'll be talking about strictly solar PV or solar photovoltaic technology here. A solar panel is constructed of silicon cells and is surrounded by layers on either side to protect it from the elements and make it rigid so it can be mounted securely. The silicon cells convert the sun's light into electricity. These panels are connected to the roof through a racking system. Racking comes in a variety of types that allow solar installers to connect a solar array to just about any building or ground location. One of the most common roofing types is asphalt shingle. But for this type of roof, attachments are made to the rafters of your home through the roof and then waterproofed to prevent leaks, either through flashings, as seen in this photo. Specialized compression and sealant attachments are also an option. Those attachments provide the base for aluminum rails, and then the panels are bolted on top of those rails. Here's another roofing type. This is a standing seam metal roof that shows the use of clamps to attach to the roof seams and then to the racking that sits on top of it. Fun fact, this is my roof. I live in Washington, D.C., and this system has been on my roof since 2012, generating electricity to cover about 40% of my energy needs. So let's talk a little bit about what makes a good roof for solar. A solar array works best when it has direct sunlight hitting it. As you can see here, there are several factors that make a good roof for solar. Typically, a roof facing east, south, or west with minimal shade and enough space, usually at least 200 square feet, will be best for solar production. You also want to make sure your roof has enough life left on it so you don't have to pay someone a couple $1,000s, usually, to come back and uninstall the solar array, so a roofer can fix or replace your roof and then have a solar installer reinstall the solar afterwards. Generally speaking, your roof should have at least 10 to 15 years of life left on it if you're considering solar. If you have space and your local permitting rules allow it, putting solar on the ground is another great option. The panels can be pointed directly south and benefit from better airflow beneath them to maximize energy production. Ground mount systems cost a little more because of the additional materials and the need for trenching the wires underground back to your home. Not all solar installers offer ground mounts, and they may not be part of this program, so be sure to ask your installer if you're interested in that option. Solar inverters are the brains of the solar array. They convert the electricity coming from the panels into a form that your house can use. They also allow you to see energy production from the solar array and how it performs over time, because inverters report that information to an online monitoring app you can access. There are a few different kinds of inverters. String inverters, on the left, are a single unit that control many panels. Microinverters are smaller and get attached behind each panel to control it individually. And optimizers plus a string inverter are sort of a combination of the two. Your installer will recommend the type they feel is best for your home, depending on things like how much shade there is. Shade can greatly impact how much energy your system will produce. Microinverters and optimizers are often recommended when there is potential for intermittent shade. Your electric panel is where the output of your solar array will go. Your installer will run wires from your inverter equipment to your electric panel so that solar generated energy can power some or all of the electric loads in your home. In some cases, your electric panel may need an upgrade to support solar, but this isn't common. Your installer can tell you whether you need one once they take a closer look at your home. So let's put this all together. You can see here, we put all the components together in one solar array. The panels are on the roof. The wiring comes down into your inverter. Then the wiring goes into your main electric panel. From there, it powers loads in your home. And when you are making more than you need, that energy goes back out onto the grid to power other things nearby in your area. We'll discuss more about excess electricity production later in the webinar. Let's make sure we're on the same page with some terms we'll be using. First, a kilowatt is a measure of power capacity. That's the output rating of your solar panels and the solar array as a whole. A kilowatt hour, on the other hand, is energy and is what your array will produce over time. This is also what you pay for on your utility bill. Average systems can range from 6 or 7 kilowatts, but sometimes might be as small as 3 or as big as 15 kilowatts or more. How big your system is will depend on several factors. 1, how much space you have for solar. 2, how much energy you use in a year. And 3, your budget. We see lots of interest in batteries in our work, so let's talk about energy storage. Without batteries included, your solar array will not produce electricity when the utility grid is out. This is because inverters are designed not to send electricity back into the grid during an outage so that repair people can safely fix the lines. If you want power when the grid is down, you need to add batteries. This lets you store electricity, and then you can disconnect from the grid in an outage and run some or all of your house on the batteries. The batteries get recharged by the solar panels. Batteries can be expensive, so you need to consider how often the power goes out and what's important to keep running when it does. In most states, adding batteries right now is more about backup power when the grid is out. Due to the high cost of batteries, they are usually not going to make you money. That's starting to change in some places, though, where battery owners can get paid to help out the grid, but this is still relatively new. Here's a more concrete example of the kind of things you can run when the power is out if you have a battery. Depending on how much battery storage you can afford, you may have to choose how much you want to run on batteries during an outage. This family chose only to run some of their loads, with the solar array recharging their batteries. As you can see, some appliances like a dryer or an electric stove require more power and energy to run, so they chose not to include those. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit here and talk about solar crediting. What happens when you are producing more solar energy than you can use in your home at a given moment? The answer is those electrons flow back out onto the grid to power nearby electrical loads in your neighbor's home or maybe even the business down the street. Once those electrons leave your house and pass through your electric meter, you can get a credit for producing that electricity. This credit usually shows up on your electricity bill. How much of a credit depends on where you are and the rules in your area. Those rules can vary by state or even by utility. In some places, the credit value is the same for every kilowatt hour you send to the grid as the cost to you to buy that kilowatt hour. This is called full energy net metering. In other places, the credit value is less and can even fluctuate based on the time of day or the time of year. You can check with our team about the rules in your area, and you can also ask your installer. We'll also go over more specifics on the rules in your area later in the webinar. In the last part of this section, let's cover some common questions from people considering solar. First, warranties. Your solar array has several kinds of warranties. First, the panels and inverters both come with product warranties from the manufacturer. This covers product defects. They can range from 10 to 25 years depending on the product, and for the inverters, you can usually pay a little extra to extend the warranty period. The panels also come with a production warranty. This warranty is the manufacturer's promise that the panels will continue to produce at a specific rate, which often declines very slowly over time. These warranties are usually 25 to 30 years. Last, you have a workmanship warranty from your installer. This warranty usually covers the work they do to install a system, including roof penetrations. These warranties can range from 2 years all the way up to 20, depending on the installer. It's common for bulk purchase programs with our installers in bulk purchasing programs to offer longer warranties due to the competitive bidding process. Homeowners insurance. When you install solar, there's typically no impact on your home insurance rates, but we have heard of some companies increasing rates and some decreasing them. It's best to call your insurance company ahead of time and let them know you're installing solar and ask them about any impact to your policy. Maintenance. Solar is a very low maintenance technology, but like anything else installed in your home, like an air conditioner or a furnace, you need to get it inspected periodically. We typically recommend having someone come take a look and do a visual inspection every 3 to 5 years. This is also a good time to get your panels cleaned if you live somewhere where dirt and dust tend to accumulate. Speaking of cleaning, if it rains periodically where you live, then it's usually not necessary to clean your panels. However, if you live in a very dry climate, you may want to wash your panels once a year to remove any buildup of pollen or dust. If you do clean your solar panels, we suggest using lukewarm water and no household cleaning products because they may damage the panels. You can also hire someone else to clean your panels. And please, if you can't reach your panels safely, call a professional to clean them instead. System lifespan. Solar arrays are built to last 20 to 25 years. They are an asset that reduces your cost of electricity for the long term. So it's important to keep them in good working order. Homeowners association. If you live in an area with a homeowners association, be sure to check with them when going solar to confirm the process for approval. Many HOAs are supportive of solar, but some aren't. It's best to know ahead of time to avoid any surprises. In many states, there are also laws that say if or how much an HOA can restrict solar. Your installer may also be willing to help you through this process, and we have a guide available as well to help you navigate the process. And last, historic districts. If you live someplace in a historic preservation rules, be sure to ask your installer what additional steps may be required. Historic districts sometimes restrict whether your panels can be visible from street level. This may require the installer to make different design decisions to accommodate the rules, and there may be additional approval steps to get the permit. Moving on to solar economics. That covers all the tech topics we want to share. So let's switch now and talking about the economics of solar. As you can see from this chart, the cost of solar has dropped dramatically over the years. Gone are the days of solar being a boutique investment for the well-off. Because of solar price declines and various financing options, solar is available to a wider and wider cross-section of people. As that price has come down, the main area of cost for installers has changed. The main takeaway from this graphic here is that the biggest cost to installers these days are soft costs, or in other words, everything but the equipment and materials. That includes the cost of finding new customers like you. This is one of the reasons that bulk purchasing programs like this work. They reduce the cost to installers to find customers, and you share that savings with them. One of the main drivers of the economics of solar is the federal tax credit. Available all over the country, and thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, it's set at 30% of the system cost until 2032. This is a non-refundable credit, which means that it is directly reducing your tax liability. If there's any credit left over in 1 year, you can roll it over and take the rest of it in future years until it's used up. If you own your home, this credit is likely available to you. As always, with any tax issue, please consult your tax professional to make sure you understand whether this credit is applicable to your circumstances. To pay for solar, most people need some sort of financing. There are a lot of options available today. Loans are available through your installer, and you can also source those funds directly from your local bank or credit union, or even a home equity line of credit. In some states, third-party ownership is also available. In this arrangement, someone else owns the solar array and maintains it, and you just pay them monthly for either the use of the array, which is a lease, or for each kilowatt hour the array generates, which is called a power purchase agreement, or PPA. Thanks for listening. We're mostly done, but there are some solar topics that are more specific to where you live, like how solar is credited and valued, state and local incentives, some local tech considerations, and local pricings for solar. We'll cover these topics next.
Hi, my name is Monica Carey. I'm the Pennsylvania Program Director for Solar United Neighbors, and I'm going to be introducing some topics for considering going solar specifically here in Pennsylvania. So it's helpful to introduce the concept of net metering here. If you think about a sunny summer day, your solar panels will be absorbing an excess of energy. It'll feed into your home and power whatever you're running in your home at the time. And during those times when there is a lot of sunlight, you may actually be generating more than you're using within your home. At that point, that excess energy will feed out to the grid, and your utility will sell it to likely your nearby neighbors at full retail rate. So here in Pennsylvania, we have an accounting system, net metering. It is some of the best in the country. But essentially what happens is for every kilowatt hour that you export to the grid, you will be credited by your utility at full retail rate. And they will add that to what's called a kilowatt hour bank or a net metering bank on your monthly electric bill. So every month, as you accumulate those credited hours, they're going to go into your bank, and your bank will build up. And that'll especially happen in the summer as there's just more sunlight out. And then that'll roll over month to month. And then in the winter, when the sun is, down for more of the day, it's just naturally darker, more cloud covered. When you're not generating as much, you're able to actually spend down the kilowatt hours that are in your bank. So in the summer, you'll be overproducing and building up that bank, generally exporting to the grid. In the winter, you'll be importing from the grid, and you'll be spending down that bank. And both time periods, you will be saving money because of your solar and because it's valued at that full retail rate. Now, This type of net metering at full retail rate is only available to people who are customers of an investor-owned utility, so like a Duquesne Light or a West Penn Power. If you are a member of a rural electric cooperative or a municipal utility, you likely are not able to get full retail rate net metering. They may net meter, but it might not be one-to-one, and it might not be at retail rate. It may also not exist at all. So we recommend that you check your guiding documents. It's also important to note that investor-owned utilities are required by law to provide full retail rate net metering in Pennsylvania, but only if you are on default service. If you procure your energy through, say, PA Power Switch and get an alternate energy supplier, they are not required to net meter you at full retail rate. So when you go solar, you will want to switch to default service. The way you'll interact with net metering is through your monthly electric bill. So in this example, this is from someone in Penelec territory, a solar user. They have a number of banked kilowatt hours coming into this month. So this is the beginning is August 5th. They have about 1,700 kilowatt hours banked. And then over the course of the month, they send from their home to the grid 985 kilowatt hours, and they take from the grid 785 kilowatt hours. So they're actually net exporting to the grid. And so you can see that their bank by the end of the month has actually increased by 200 kilowatt hours. The way that you'll see this is down here. So this is the, amount that they would have been charged at price to compare. This is your monthly customer charge, $10. It's variable from territory to territory, but generally between $10 and $25 per month. And then you can see that they received this net metering credit, which was for $142. So their entire bill gets zeroed out except for that customer charge, and that you will have to pay every single month. The other thing that's important to note is that, as I said, net metering rolls over from month to month, but that only occurs during the annual billing cycle. So that runs from June 1st to May 31st. On May 31st, any excess kilowatt hours that you have in your bank, they're going to be credited at a lower price to compare rate. So you can actually see this is full retail rate in Penelec territory. It's 18 cents per kilowatt hour. The price to compare rate is only 9.7 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's why we recommend that you size your system to about 100% of your annual energy usage and not significantly oversize, because you'll just receive marginal returns. There is another incentive for Pennsylvanians with solar, and that's called a solar renewable energy credit. So every time you generate and export 1,000 kilowatt hours or 1 megawatt hour, you generate what's known as one solar renewable energy credit, or one SREC. These are credits that are bought and sold on a market, and they're bought by utilities to prove that they are supporting solar and other renewable energy sources. The fact that they're bought and sold on a market means that the value is variable. Right now, it's about $30 to $35. It's been that for a few years. The prices are slowly decreasing for some policy reasons. And so we can't project out very far into the future what the value of that is going to be. But if the value stays between the $30-$35 area for the average solar system, you would earn about $1,800 for the first 5 years of your system through SRECs. We also recommend that, since this is Pennsylvania, and squirrels are everywhere and pretty messy, that we recommend you get a squirrel guard, sometimes called a critter guard, but it's basically just a mesh fencing that goes around your system so that squirrels can't get underneath, chew through wires, nest, anything like that. It really just kind of is a safeguard that is well worth the money that you will invest in it. It also may be beneficial, depending on where in the state you live, to get snow guards, but that is a little less common in Pennsylvania. It's just nice because the snow, once it gets over about an inch thick, will completely suppress any solar generation that your panels are trying to do during the day. But the fact that they are on an angle and they do warm up with sunlight means that the snow will slide right off. So the Western Pennsylvanians that I have been in touch with who have gone solar, they may lose a few days a year of production from snow. It's not that significant. But again, that is entirely up to you. So here we have an example pricing table. There are two different size systems. So this is a 5 kilowatt system, which is about 250 square feet, depending on the size of the panel, and then the 10 kilowatt system. And I will say that in Pennsylvania, the average size system we tend to see is about 10 kilowatts. 5 is a little bit on the smaller size. But what I wanted to do is really focus on this rightmost column for the 10 kilowatt because that's the average. But it is important to note that all of these pricing trends are going to scale with the size of the system. So in this example, we are looking at average Pennsylvania group by purchasing price, which is 270 per watt. And so that is the all-inclusive price available. And at 270 per watt for a 10 kilowatt system, you're looking at a sticker price of about $27,000. There is currently a federal tax credit that is 30%, but it was recently repealed as part of the federal budget. So it is only available for systems that are paid for and placed in service by the end of this fiscal year, 2025. Any systems that are installed in 2026 will not be eligible to receive the tax credit. But if you can take the tax credit, it will essentially reduce your tax liability by 30% of the total cost of the system. So in this case, that would be net savings of $8,100 off of that $27,000 price. And in addition, you would see SREC value, as I said, it's a variable price. Here we're estimating $25 to be a little bit more conservative. So you would see an additional income of almost $1,500 in those first 5 years. So we're looking at a net cost of around $17,000 for this system. Now, in that first year that the system is placed in service, you will see monthly savings on your electric bill from the energy that you are generating and supplying to your home and from the energy that you're replacing from the utility that you now no longer have to purchase. So that is savings of cumulatively $2,600. That is going to continue to accumulate over the lifetime of the system. So even as electricity prices rise, your system becomes more valuable because the value of solar rises with electricity rates. And even though your system is decreasing in efficiency, those rising rates actually kind of offset those losses. So by the end of the 25-year lifetime of the panels, you're going to see savings of about $78,000, which more than pays for the system itself. And your net savings are about $60,000 over the lifetime of the system. And the most common financing that we see our members use is the home equity line of credit. The previous example was a cash purchase. So here I just want to show the financing option. So in this case, we're looking at a home equity line of credit with a 7% interest rate. And this example does include that 30% federal tax credit. So you put 30% down and then take the tax credit. And again, we're going to look at these same size systems. So this is the 5 kilowatt system, and this is the 10 kilowatt system with two different terms for a 10-year and a 15-year loan. And you can see that your monthly electric savings are roughly equal to your monthly loan payment for the 10-year loan. And your loan payment is actually less than your monthly electric savings for the 15-year loan. So in that case, you can see that that 10-year loan is going to help you pay off the system faster. You'll have greater net savings. But with the 15-year loan, you will save more on each month than you are paying. So we really just recommend shopping around for different loans and different terms and figuring out what is most important for you on that kind of month-to-month basis. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope that this has been informative. If you have any questions that we can help with, please feel free to reach out. Again, my name is Monica Carey with Solar United Neighbors, and our help desk is at pateam@solarunitedneighbors.org. Thank you.
All right, this brings us to the end of the webinar. Just a few final comments. If you're interested in participating in our program, you can take a free roof test on our website to see if your home is suitable for solar. It's completely free to participate, and there's no obligation to accept if you register. Lastly, a survey about our webinar will pop up on your screen. If you have a moment, we would appreciate your feedback so that we can continue to improve these sessions. That is everything. Thank you for attending. We hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, please visit our website or contact our help desk at solar@switchtogether.com. Thank you.